Welcome to this informational webinar about the BCPH Thought Leadership Fellowship. And we're very excited that you were able to join us today. We're recording this for folks who weren't able to join us as well. And I'm going to be sharing some slides. My name, this for folks who weren't able to join us, is we're also live streaming this on YouTube, as you may have just heard. The correct thing. My name is Dr. Circe Lecomte. I'm co-CEO of the Boston Congress of Public Health, and we're very proud to be recruiting for our 5th cohort of the Thought Fellowship. I'd like to hand it off, however, to my colleagues to introduce themselves.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lecomte. So I think I know some of you guys, but for those who don't know me, so Dr. Candace Carpenter, other co-chief executive officer and chief strategy officer for the Boston Congress of Public Health. Incredibly excited, as Circe said, to bring you the 5th edition of the Thought Leadership Fellowship. Very excited for this fellowship this year, to see what questions that you guys may have, and then also to continue to, be strong on our mission for democratizing public health through the lens of social justice. But I'll kick it off to one of our interns.
Hi there. Yes, my name is Liam. I'm currently working with BCPH on this Thought Leadership Fellowship as a intern. Be around.
Excellent.
So
Thank you.
keep an eye on. Sorry.
No, thank you. Yeah, thank you. And then I believe Sabath has rejoined us. Sabath, we're just doing quick introductions. Well, when we get him back, we'll go ahead and do him, but feel free to continue, Circe.
Yes. Just want to say Sabath is joining us from abroad, so there might be a bit of a delay. So in terms of the Boston Congress of Public Health, if you are not familiar with us, we are a nonprofit organization, and we are dedicated to the mission and vision of democratizing access to public health through the lenses of social justice and equity. And we do that by supporting folks like you, new and emerging and established thought leaders, researchers, advocates, everyone who is dedicated to advancing public health issues through those lenses of equity and justice, and making sure that everyone has access to that evidence-based information. So we also have 2 main activity centers. And Sabath, hello, how are you?
Yeah, thank you, Circe.
So I wanted to hand it over to you just really quickly, if you'd like to introduce yourself and then perhaps discuss our activity centers as the organization.
Yeah, thank you so much, Circe. Hi, everyone. My name is Sabath. I'm joining from Nigeria, and I'm the director for the fellowship. I've been able to coordinate 2 cohorts now, and this will be the 3rd, and it promises to be really engaging. Hi, Dr. Candace.
I was just trying to clap.
Okay. All right. So it promises to be more engaging. We think the voices of public health, they are becoming more diverse, and we are having more people bring different contexts to the conversation. And it will be good, and it will be really, really engaging to have this conversation this year, and with lots of things that's been happening all around the world. Of course, some of it we know about already. So just moving along to what we do in BCPH, just like Circe started, talking about our academy and our studio. So we have different components of BCPH that caters to specific needs in the public health space. So for the academy, we try to curate we try to curate materials. We try to create what do you call it?
Well, the Academy, it looks like Sabath might have frozen. The Academy, we do have a curated library of trainings on bcphacademy.org. And then underneath the Academy also falls our different sort of awards and other sort of relation initiatives. We have the 40 Under 40 Public Health Catalyst Awards. We have our Health Innovators Awards, which you may have heard of. We have several new awards as well that you can learn about on bcph.org. We also have our courses and certificate programs within the Training Academy, but also the Public Health Institute, which is a leadership institute, and it's geared to those late in high school, juniors and seniors, all the way up to those who are in medical school or graduate school, as well as those who are working in the nonprofit arena. And we also have we have virtual research summits that we have done, and we also have our speakers bureau. The other arm is the BCPH studio, and this really centers around our YouTube channel, but also our TikTok channel. We have a podcasting arm through SoundCloud. And really, this is a place where we help develop and also support leaders like you in developing their content and pushing it out. So far, we have 450 live videos that have had over 500,000 or nearly 500,000 views on YouTube alone. And then our TikTok channel, a number of our videos have had like 50 or 60,000 views or more. We also, on here, you can find some of our great health debates that we have done, which is a series of where thought leaders come together and discuss different hot button issues, if you will. And we've had some other sort of, new series that we have done to try and make public health a bit more digestible to general audiences. And if you go on there right now, you can see a lot of promotions for our Academy, as well as interviews, recordings of webinars we have done, and then various sort of author insight videos about folks who have published in our Boston Congress of Public Health Review, which used to be the Harvard Public Health Review. Also, you can find videos done by our past fellows, and lots of rich content on there. So it looks like you're back, Sabath. I'll hand it back to you.
Yeah, I'm back. So just continuing from the conversation. So those are some of the things we do. And for the fellowship, we even try to narrow it down further to see how we can basically support and train the next generation of public health leaders to really promote health equity, advocacy, and basically expand the evidence of evidence-based public health discussions. So we are sort of providing that platform where you can explore, be creative, have your own voice, basically. So we have lots of noise in the space. So many persons saying almost the same thing or different things, but we really want to ensure that fellows that are coming in can be able to crystallize their thoughts to a specific target audience. So that's what we are providing. And we think over the years, we've been able to establish this part of the mission where we have people coming from different backgrounds, from different contexts, and are able to express themselves to people who want to hear what they have and also appreciate what they've been able to do so far in terms of their thought leadership. So whether you're a scholar or you're not coming scholar, I think we have that platform where you can really thrive and your voice can be crystallized to something people would want to hear. Next. So who should apply for the BCPA Thought Leadership Fellowship? So we have to me personally, I think if you have interest in public health and if you want to be an emerging voice, if you want people to know about a particular thing that's been burning inside of you, we have that platform where you can do that. So what we are looking for is not necessarily just the degrees, but if you possess that strong passion for public health and especially for non-scientific audience. So we don't want to be traditional. We already have the scientific channels, the scientific journals, and all them publication. What we want to do is to ensure that those big grammars, those gigantic words that people may not really understand, how can we break it down using evidence for different categories of persons to be able to understand. So if you're that kind of person, I think you definitely should apply because you're going to see other persons who are doing what you want to do and who have done what you would want to do, and you can able to learn from their experiences and be able to even shape other people's opinion based on what you would have worked in within the 3 or 4 months that the fellowship would last. So whether you have a degree or even you're a high schooler, we've had that before, and you possess some of these skills and you're really passionate, we think you should apply for this particular fellowship. Can move on. So basically, I think if you have the passion, if you have the strong will, and if you really want to be heard, some of these criteria that we've listed here in terms of if your passion or vision aligns with that of BCPHs, and if you have a solid understanding of topics that cuts across public health. So those are some of the things we are looking for. So one of the other things I'm really going to buttress is a unique point of view. So we want people to be dynamic, to be provocative, to really, really stand out from the noise. So if you have that unique viewpoint, something you've been doing in the background and you think, nobody really knows what I'm doing, nobody really does or do what I'm doing right now, we really want that in BCPH because we have people in Africa, in Asia, in South America who really want to digest some of these contents and are not able to. So maybe that unique voice that you have might just be the thing that would stand you out. Also, we have some other stronger points if you're able to use some of these tools already. So we have, if you're skilled in social media promotions, can do a bit of graphics and video designing. Those are some of the things we are looking for. And above all, if you have that strong motivation to complete the fellowship. So over time, we've seen people have some of these skills, some of the abilities, but they are not able to complete the duration of the fellowship for different kinds of reasons. But to be able to be consistent over the duration of the 12 to 18 weeks or thereabouts, those are some of the things that would really make you to be a strong candidate for this particular fellowship. So moving on to the next bit of the conversation.
Do you mind if I hop in just quickly? I just wanted to emphasize what Sabath said as well in terms of strong candidates that we're looking for. Our Thought Fellowship is particularly very rigorous in the expectations that we do have. However, once you get on the other side of it, right, as Sabah said, in terms of 18 weeks or so, you really are very well versed in not only being a thought leader, but also being able to produce your podcasts, your blogs, etc. We provide a lot of support and mentorship throughout the duration of the fellowship, but we definitely do require someone who is very much laser focused on being able to accomplish the fellowship. So think about that very strongly before you apply, whether or not you have the time and a very strong motivation as opposed to just kind of a passing interest.
Yeah, thank you so much, Candace. Ceci, you're nodding your head.
No, actually, I was just readjusting my seat, so it looked like I was
Okay.
not. But yes, so we've come up to the section where we're talking about some of the case studies or folks who have participated previously. So I thought you wanted to go over some of their work.
Yeah, I think I'll talk about Kate first. So we had Kate joining from participating in the fellowship from Nigeria, and she had a very unique viewpoint. And she was trying to talk about climate and how it relates to public health. So she was talking about the Niger Delta in Nigeria, where they have sort of illegal oil mining activity, and that contributes to what they call sooth. They had, I think, something like an outbreak or a pandemic kind of sooth, where you can literally come out from your house and see black charcoal on vehicles on the streets. And if you were to, let's say, pick your nose a little, you can literally remove something like that from, black soot from your nose. So that unique viewpoints, like talking to people in those communities and some of the stakeholders, really, really painted a different picture. And those people from the Niger Delta, we could now see what they are essentially passing through. And that's one of the things people don't do independently. Probably you would see maybe a news channel covering it, but in terms of going to interview people that have been in that space, that was some unique points that Kate brought to the table. So we had others coming from Asia as well, but I just wanted to point that out, that it was a unique point, and she did a vlog in terms of her content that she produced for that particular fellowship. So those are some of the things we are looking for, to be able to harness the different skills that you have. She was a journalist, but she didn't do journalism as part of her first degree or second degree, but she was doing that, and she wanted to merge it with her knowledge of public health. So marrying journalism and public health together, she really painted a very good story. So if we move on to the next slide, we'll see other case studies that have passed through the fellowship. So after this, we have links to the different fellows that have come through our fellowship, and they've gone on to do great things. We have Dr. Hannah, who has been really, really very vocal, and back there in Southeast Asia, she's really known for her work that she's contributing to female genital mutilation. So she started off at BCPH with her unique viewpoint. I'm sure if you see this particular picture up on the screen by your top right, those are some of the contents she produced, and that's sort of served as a launch pad to so many different things that she's been able to go on to achieve within a very, very short time. So those are the kind of things we want to see, and that's the platform we are providing, and we're able to nurture you to get to that point where anything you say, no matter how small, might really have an impact somewhere, and you can be proud of what you've been able to do so far. So we have so many case studies. Dr. Cersei, if you can just slide through the next two slides.
And if it's okay, I would like to point out that Brian Shim, who's back here, really did a great job in like finding really interesting people to interview and discuss about. This interview is about like community partnerships, also talking to different providers about stigma in relation to lung cancer. So just really leveraging his platform to create a new lens for what is often maybe not considered like a very sexy subject in public health, but really kind of turning it on its head. I also want to point out that we've even had some past fellows who use their platform. They gained an interview with Dr. Fauci, and you can see that interview on YouTube. Not that we can promise that you would have access to Dr. Fauci, but they work together to create this sort of partnership in their platforms, and created like a Q&A and sent it out as a Hail Mary to Dr. Fauci's office, and it worked out. So lots of different ways, lots of ways to be innovative and engage with folks. And if you don't talk to Dr. Fauci, you can talk to people who are working on the street, and it's just as powerful and it has just as much engagement. But back to you, Sabah, excuse me.
Yeah, thank you, Cersei. So those are some of the interesting things. We have lots of stories like that. And if you could take out 5, 10 minutes, some of them are just YouTube videos that you could just watch one or two snippets, and you're able to really understand from the introduction of these different blogs. So we have like a 1 minute, 2 minute max introduction of these different blogs. You can be able to really digest and understand what they've been or what they are trying to say. So we can move on to the next slide, Cersei. All right, so what are we looking for? So for this particular fellowship, so content interest. So what do we mean by public health? What types of topics do we want to see? What kind of content do we want to be included? So like we started off, BCPH, we want to democratize this discourse. So we really take a broad approach. So if it's anything that's related to health for more than one person, it can be in like very different contexts that apply, so long as it's affecting the health of populations, of communities. Those kind of contents are what we need. And we also want to really give preference to things that are not out there, that are not mainstreamed. So we have lots of discussions, say, around let's say HIV, maternal mortality. So what exactly in those different specific themes do you want to discuss? What sets you apart, basically, so that you're not just talking in general, you're more specific, and we can actually single you out for what you are saying and what you're representing. So those are some of the things we are looking for in terms of content. And of course, you have to have a target audience in mind. So you're writing to people, not just a particular sets of people, not just everyone. So we believe you can talk to everyone and everyone understands. So I should be able to find my niche, people who I can specifically target with my content, and I'm able to see the difference that I'm contributing to the discussion. So those are some of the contents and interests that we would want to see for a prospective fellow. So I know some of us have these things already, but we want you to take a seat back and really think about what you really want to say, and who do you want to say those things to. It will really guide you to put yourself together and know that, oh, this is what I want to do for the next 4 months, 3, 4 months, and this is what I want to say, and these are the sets of persons I want to say them to. So we have to balance the content and the interest. So Ceci, we can move on. So having, put our thoughts together in terms of if we have the skills, if we are strong candidates, and if we are going to be able to put those contents and align it with our interests. So in terms of the selection process, so for this particular fellowship, we are looking at 5 to 10 fellows in the end. I think Candace would speak to that a little bit more, but we are looking for those people who are really strong candidates. So beyond just the skills, beyond just having passion, we are looking for those who would be able to stand the test of time, in quotes, the 4 months of rigorous activity almost every other week. So if you're able to have a strong motivation, have the right skills that are needed, and you have that unique voice. The other thing you need to add is if you'll be consistent for that particular period, then you might just be the one to be selected for this particular cohort. Okay, Candace, you can jump in.
Yeah, this is where I wanted to add. So we definitely in the past have done, we've done anywhere to, I think it was the highest was 26 or 27 fellows when we first started out. So we definitely have taken more fellows in the past, and we've since shrunk it. And the thing that we're doing differently this year is that we will have a cohort, a much larger cohort than 5 or 10 of people who will be able to take advantage of the education piece that Sabath will go over in a little bit. But then after that, from the individuals who are essentially able to show that they do have the passion and the timeliness and the muster to be able to move on to then actually publish with us. So I think that's the difference there that I wanted to make sure that we recognize, and it's not exactly on the slide. So a much larger cohort will go through the education of what it's like to be a thought leader, and only a few will be selected then from that part to be able to go ahead and publish with us, or to be able to do podcasts that we then broadcast to our network and beyond.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Candace. So in terms of the activities that we'll be doing over the course of the 3 to 4 month period. So we've already started applications. Right now we're doing the information session. So we've tried to lay out these dates and this period in time so that we are able to see and look at our schedules, our calendar, and to see if we are going to be available for these different periods. So immediately after this information session, we would have the application run for the next few days, and that would be closing on the 15th. Then we would have series of interviews. So it's just to ensure that we have the right candidates. So the fellowship would start by April. So we have about 2 months from now to prepare for that. So between April, May, and June, we would have the fellowship activities in terms of curriculum, trainings, in terms of developing the contents alongside the trainings. All those activities will take place within that 3 month period. So we can see that there is no lag in time. Every other week is filled with activity between April and June. So if you can be able to clear up your calendar, if you can be able to manage these times, we would be able to, you should apply. And of course, every other week there will be meetings, and you have the time to meet one-on-one with those we call master editors to be able to help you put together your contents and be able to provide feedback on what you'll be developing. And you also have chance to interact with your fellow peers. So we have what we call peer-to-peer mentoring sessions, where different contents that you'll be developing, you would be able to run it through your peers, and they're able to improve what you do. And once it comes out at the other end, you appreciate what you've done so much more. So these are just a snippet of the different activities that'll be going on within the course of the next few months. So in terms of where these contents would be promoted, so at BCPH, we really have large following across different media, and including social media platform. So whether it's on YouTube, it's on Instagram, it's on TikTok, we are well followed, and we have I think over 60,000 unique monthly guests to our websites. So in terms of getting the traction, in terms of having eyes see what you'll be developing, we really have the numbers. And what we would stress is to ensure that those contents are ready, because once they're ready, we are able to promote them across these different channels.
And so I would say among all of these, probably, our mailing list is at about 50,000 people. And then, we have a combined following of about, I would say probably like 20,000 just across the other platforms, with a great deal of impressions. If we don't have a lot of followers on one, we have our content is seen by a lot of people.
All right. Thank you, Cersei. So this is just an example of some of the last fellows we have in the last cohort. So we had Buffy and we have Sad. They really came up with different sound bites for their podcast, and we were able to promote those through SoundCloud, through YouTube, and they even have transcripts for those different podcasts. So whether you be most our focus for this fellowship is actually podcasting. So you're able to develop your content, you're able to curate it in terms of having the transcripts for it to be more accessible. So those things we're able to put them together and really refine it and make it up to standards to be able to be digested by a wider audience. So YouTube, SoundCloud, those are the two major platforms for the podcasts that we would be developing. So just like we mentioned at the start, we are looking for fellows who would want to explore their creative side. So if you really have that, if you're really creative and you want to do something new, we have the platform for you to be able to explore those talents. And the other thing that would be really focusing in the fellowship is building up of our technical skills. So we understand that some of us might have these skills already, but it's not updated, it's not refined to what is obtainable out there. So those are some of the things that you would benefit from being part of the fellowship. Then we also have I think I'll really speak to this more. So during the fellowship, and especially when we have peer-to-peer mentoring activities where we have you basically taking stage and handling the mic and leading the conversation. So you have your peers critique your work and you're able to accept the criticism and be able to improve your work. So we found out that over time, that activity has sort of enabled different fellows to build confidence. So if you are able to talk through what you've done to your fellow peers and you're able to, basically have an argument in quotes and getting feedback and providing feedback as well as receiving criticisms, we found out that it has built the confidence of different fellows and they're able to talk about their work more and what they've been able to do. So that's one of the things I think you would really benefit from during the program. Next slide, please.
I just want to say too that folks who do the fellowship with us, folks have stayed on as columnists. We've invited them back to be faculty. So truly, when you engage with BCPH, it's not just the fellowship. You kind of join our family, and we can have it can be a really robust sort of working relationship. So.
All right. Thank you, Cersei. So the last activity in the fellowship is graduation. So we appreciate the efforts of fellows who are able to stay through the duration of the fellowship because we know it's hectic, it's demanding, but it's also rewarding in the end. You can be able to look back to say, this is what I've done, this is where I started, and this is where I am. I've been able to build the skills, I've been able to nurture those skills, and I've been able to make impacts no matter how small. And I'm able to see the evidence because when you develop this content and put it out there, people actually read and people actually provide feedback and you're able to engage in even more conversation and even you're able to take the conversation forward. So beyond the graduation, we are proud of the fellows who have been able to graduate so far. We've seen that they've gone on to do so many great things. And the other thing we are proud about, as Ceci have mentioned, is they go on to mentor other fellows. So we've had a chain of, fellows build expertise, both professional career and from the fellowship, and they're able to transfer those skills, those wisdom in quotes, to other fellows and to other emerging voices. So what that does is that it compounds whatever that particular fellow has done. So if you have someone who has done something, say in maternal mortality, and you're speaking about maternal mortality, so that person is basically giving you all of the experiences in the work you're going to be doing, and you're able to even amplify that to a more wider audience. So beyond the graduation, we are confident that fellows who pass through BCPH are able to engage in different conversations in their different focus areas. So for the graduation, we'll be having certificates just to show that we've been here and we've done that. But beyond that, the evidence is there and it's glaring. It's something you can share. It's something you can refer people to. And it's something that in the next 10, 15, 20, 100 years, it will still be there. So yeah, in Nigeria, we say evidence plenty. Let's move on, Ceci. So in terms of how to apply, I'm sure some of us have already seen our application links while we were registering for this information session. So applications had already begun and it will be closing in the next 4 days. So there are different sections in the application form. We have the a brief bio, your CV, but beyond that, we want strong candidates who are able to detail one specific podcast that they are able to that they would be able to do during the course of the fellowship. So in that detail, we need the specific podcast title, the introduction, the list of questions, the potential interviewees, and the target audience. Why we need this is if you are able to do this, it's already shown that you're serious with getting on with the fellowship and you already understand what you want to do. So it will be more like a jump board because that's exactly what you might be doing for that particular activity in the fellowship, which is the main meat of the fellowship to amplify and make you an emerging voice. So if you're able to detail one specific podcast and some of those subsets of information we need, it will make you really stand out, and we would be able to say you're the right candidate because you would have demonstrated that you have an understanding of what we need. Next slide.
Yes, and then these are just the elements that are asked for in the application itself. As long as like the details for one specific podcast, or actually like specific podcast or post that you would do. So, and then,
Yeah, this is if you want to apply now, you could just use your phone to scan the QR code. It will lead you directly to the form. So that's some of the information we wanted to put out there. And beyond all what I've just said, we'll continue to buttress if you have that unique voice and you're dynamic and you have some of those skills we are looking for, and you feel and you're confident you are able to complete the fellowship within the 4 month period, 3 month period, we think we should go on to apply. And because just beyond the fellowship, there are lots of things that you can be able to garner after the fellowship. You're able to build the skills of, having your thoughts together. You're able to build the skills of talking to people and speaking to different people in different contexts, and you're able to interact with peers from different backgrounds and different cultures, different professions. You're able to be in that space where you have people thinking about how they can lead the conversation, and you can be able to bounce off the experiences and knowledge of different people that you come in contact with within the course of the fellowship. So if I were you, of course I'm me, if I were you, I would look at I would go back to the case studies that we've put out there. I think that is something everyone who wants to be a fellow should watch or should read through. And you could go on to check out some of the individuals that have passed through the fellowship, and you can see for a fact some of the things they've been able to do, and they are able to reference it to how they started. So that's what we do in BCPH Thought Leadership Fellowship. We help to nurture, and in the end, those who nurture also nurture others. Candice, you can take the mic.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. So we definitely been answering questions as they've come through. So I just wanted to reiterate what I had answered before. The fellowship is not paid. However, given all of the software and materials that we do give you, that is over $3,000 of material that we allow you to use for free. So you're not paid directly, but you're allowed to use all of the software and things that BCPH owns to be able to publish. So if you were to do that independently, you would be spending at minimum $3,000 and in some cases several $1,000s. So that's kind of how that works out. The other thing is that there was a question about the time of day on Sundays. I don't believe we published that. Sabath, can you answer that question? We'll make sure to put that on the website as well. Thank you for that.
Yeah, in terms of the times we'll be meeting during the week.
Fellowship.
Yeah, so most times, for now, we've not published that. We are still trying to finalize, but we have the dates. Majorly, it will be on Sundays and a bit on Saturdays. That's if we have certain changes, but we've planned not to have that. So it will be at specific times, and it's usually just 2 hours. So you'll be required to just meet 2 hours a week. So it's something that you can plan ahead. That information is available and will definitely include it. You can plan ahead 2, 3 months before those specific times, and you can block your calendars.
Yeah, so I will say that even though we haven't settled on a time, we tend to meet anywhere from 1 to 4 p.m. on Saturdays and Sundays. So if that Eastern, so if that helps you even more, depending on where you are in the world, 1 to 4 p.m. Eastern in general. And for those of you who are invited to interview, we will absolutely have those dates and times finalized. Any other questions?
So, there was one question, some folks have wanted to speak to, the current situation with NIH, banned words, issues around funding and the like. I did write in the Q&A section that we are independent. We are an independent organization, both in terms of funding as well as editorially. And this organization has always and will continue to support and really advocate and actually really, if to be successful in the fellowship, to really talk about public health issues that are challenging and to talk about them openly and explicitly from an evidence-based perspective. Yes, so you do not have to worry if you're coming into the fellowship of self-censorship or feeling like you can't talk about issues that might be not welcome in the current climate if you are in the US. And yes, I saw some. Great. Opening up the Q&A section, walked away. Let me grab it, see if there's any other questions. Looks like we answered all of the current and ongoing questions.
Yes, we did. I think there's a question I answered that I'll go ahead and just state it also publicly as well in terms of BCPH's support of LGBTQ organizations and fellows. And so just wanted to reiterate, that BCPH is in fact an LGBTQ organization. We also support many fellows who are either LGBTQ identifying or do research or work with LGBTQIA+ populations. So while we support fellows and we provide mentorship to fellows, we don't necessarily support organizations, because I know the question was about that. As an organization, we're always interested in having partnerships, but maybe not necessarily for the fellowship itself. But if you did have questions about that, feel free to reach out to us. I'll put it in the chat, communications@bcph.org, if you did have a question about organizations collaborating with BCPH.
And just to tag on to that, if you were interested in capacity building for your organization, we have the Public Health Institute, which is more amenable to that kind of support. The fellowship, perhaps not quite the right fit. But I think what I'll
Alright.
do, put in the chat, I know that, yes, great minds think alike. I was just about to put the email address in there. So if you have any questions, to reach out to communications@bcph.org. Yes, and I will post a link to the Public Health Institute. We would love to talk with you about that.